Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we have some more bad news coming out about the LCS. This is bad news for me personally because I already recorded my LCS lock-in prediction videos, and then as soon as I waited really late. We're like 2 days away from the lock-in tournament starting, and I just recorded my lock-in prediction video yesterday, I think, and it was set to go out tomorrow. But now we're all of a sudden getting all these roster announcements. Nobody wanted to give us any info or any roster announcements or visa issues or anything until 2 days before this thing started. Now we're getting all this information. The LCS lock-in tournament is really starting to turn into a whole mess. I know it has a lot of people upset, a lot of people not very excited, but in today's video we'll be going over all the latest information, all the latest bad news, so you can know exactly who your favorite team or who the other teams are even going to have participating in the LCS lock-in tournament. So definitely drop a like if you guys do enjoy this video. I'd appreciate that a ton. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Consider checking out the merch. With that being said, let's get right into this one. So we have a lot of different stuff to talk about. First up, we have Dignitas, who the Dignitas LOL Twitter. I didn't even know they had two different Twitters, but it's kind of interesting. They have a Dignitas and a Dignitas LOL. I don't know, 37,000 followers. I wonder how many followers does the original have? We have 270K. That's kind of crazy. But anyway, they put out this roster update from Dignitas Quantum Pay. Due to the ongoing issues caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, River has not been able to enter the U.S. and will not be able to compete in the first week of the LCS lock-in. We are extremely excited to give our promising up-and-coming Academy jungler XU the opportunity to compete in the first week of the lock-in tournament. So this is a little bit interesting here. They do say that they're giving this guy the opportunity to compete in the first week of the lock-in tournament. I don't know if that means they expect River to be back for week 2. I don't know if that means he's going to miss more time. I don't know if they know he's going to be back for week 2, if they know if he's going to be back for the first week of the spring split or not. Hopefully it doesn't impact spring split. If it just impacts the first week of lock-in, that honestly wouldn't be that bad. If it impacts more, that'd be kind of annoying. And if it starts to impact the spring split, that really does suck. But I don't know much about this XU guy. We'll see how he does. I do think it's interesting that how all different teams are kind of handling this. Dignitas, they are missing some players, and they are going to, it seems like, still field their normal roster with their Academy jungler subbing in, as where some other teams are just going full Academy. I don't know. I personally like fitting the Academy players in more so than going full Academy, but this is what Dignitas is doing, okay? No River, but it seems like the rest of their team will be playing. Then we get to Golden Guardians, who had a different way of announcing stuff. They put out this video from their GM, Danon Flander, who I think went to the University of Iowa. Oh, yep, went to the University of Iowa. So, shout out to Danon. Let's get into what Golden Guardians has to talk about a little bit. But then after that, we'll get into the biggest one, which is the new Team Liquid update, which you guys don't want to miss. I'm still sick too,
Hey
which is
everyone,
crazy.
This is Danon Flander, General Manager of Golden Guardians. Just wanted to hop up here for a minute and give you an update on our roster as we walk into the lock-in tournament. The first update, probably the biggest one, is going to be that we're going to be fielding effectively our Academy roster walking into the lock-in tournament. This is actually a conversation that started basically back when we first made our roster moves. We knew we were making a lot of moves. We knew we were making a lot of international moves, which meant that we knew we were going to have some amount of visa implications on our schedule. As we actually started padding out the visa timelines, the timelines ended up being very clear. And this was probably mid-December, where it was made obvious to us that we weren't going to have everyone here at the start of the new year. And because of that, we said, well, look, how much of the Academy team can we get here? If we want to field them for some games, field the LCS team for some, what's that going to look like? And we ended up finding out that due to them being primarily Canadians, primarily Americans, we're in position to field almost every single piece of our Academy team, up to and including the coaching staff. So you may have noticed that I said most of our Academy roster. As it stands right now, we will be fielding Tony Top, Iconic, Ryoma, and Chime in the lock-in tournament. With respect to the AD carry substitute, ultimately we landed on asking Trevor Hayes, Stix to actually return to play and be our substitute. It just made the most sense in advance of Violet's entry to the US. I do want to note, and we ended up finding out that due to them being...
Okay, I accidentally skipped it. He goes on to say that I skipped around the video. He said he does want to note that I think the full team should be ready to go for week 1 of the LCS season. So that is very interesting. And that also, I think, gives hope to the other players like TSM, like Cloud9, and like Dignitas too, apparently, that hopefully everyone should be ready to go as far as visa issues go for week 1 of the spring split, which is really cool. But yeah, GGS not able to get their full team, so they are rocking the full Academy academy roster, except apparently they still can't get their AD carry here. So Stixay, who I believe is coaching for Golden Guardians now, is hopping back in. Also, I know people are going to be memeing on Ryoma finding his way back in the LCS once again. That's going to be funny. But yeah, obviously GGS has Ole coming in from Korea and Pride Soccer coming in from Europe. And I thought it was interesting how they said early on, as soon as December, they knew that this wasn't going to work out. So this kind of gives you an idea of all the other teams, not necessarily having unexpected visa issues either. TSM has probably known for a while. Dignitas is probably known for a while. Cloud9 is probably known for a while that these things were going to come up and be issues. So I thought that was a little bit of interesting insight. But yeah, Golden Guardians going with their academy roster is interesting because that one group is 100 Thieves, TSM, Cloud9, Golden Guardians, and FlyQuest. And it's going to be C9 doing a hybrid lineup, GGS going full academy plus Stixay, TSM going full academy, and then FlyQuest, who just isn't that good. So like that group all of a sudden starts to really not be that exciting or interesting. But then finally, the biggest news we have here is that sources, this is from Alejandro Gomez, CoreJJ and Hansama will split time during the lock-in tournament due to green card complications. Now, obviously, this is a little bit similar, but a little bit different. This is not a visa issue. This is a green card, I don't even know if issue, but just something that they're still waiting on. And I know previously I had reported that it seemed like CoreJJ had gotten his green card, but that wasn't me saying that. That was another article. I don't know if it was from, I think it was from Invin, who's like, pretty reputable source, who is saying that they were under the assumption that CoreJJ had his green card, but now it seems like we're hearing from Upcomer that CoreJJ does not have his green card. And this is very, very problematic because obviously with a visa, there's kind of expected timelines, and they're like, yeah, we haven't been able to get the visa yet. We're expecting to get over the next couple weeks, but a green card is entirely different. And you don't know when it's going to come or when it's going to happen. You have general expectations or a general understanding of when it could come, but man, if CoreJJ cannot get his green card, that is going to be bad news for Team Liquid because they have 3 imports then. They have CoreJJ, they have Bwipo, and Hansama, and obviously they can only play 2 of them. And if they're having to rock with an academy top laner or an academy AD carry or an academy support because they have too many imports, that's really going to put a damper on, one, getting this whole team playing together and building synergy. They're supposed to be a super team. They're supposed to go to the semifinals at Worlds this year. They're supposed to win the LCS easily. But if they aren't even able to play this year, then that could become a whole mess. It also could be very, very upsetting or angering for a guy like Bwipo or a guy like Hansama, who left good opportunities over in Europe to come over to North America, and now they're getting benched. Now they're having to split time with academy players. Now they're having to go through this whole mess. It really, really does suck. But, the report here from Upcomer obviously is that CoreJJ still has not yet obtained his green card, which will allow Team Liquid to field their full roster. As a result, Team Liquid will either play with CoreJJ or Hansama during the lock-in tournament, depending on the game. Academy players Ayla, who's the support, will take CoreJJ's place in the main lineup when Hansama plays, and Academy bot laner Yeon will play alongside CoreJJ when he does start. Again, they explain why the situation exists. Both Ayla and Yeon have been scrimming with the main lineup, sources said, in order to prepare for this scenario. Earlier this week, CoreJJ and Ayla began splitting time. That is pretty crazy. That obviously sucks. This is about worst case scenario for Team Liquid, again, depending on how long it lasts. So yeah, we're gonna have to see. I don't know if there's any indications on whether or not Bwipo would sit out anytime, especially going into the future. But man, seeing Team Liquid have issues is going to be very, very frustrating and annoying. Again, I hope this is just lock-in related, but we haven't really heard any information. We haven't heard from the team. We haven't heard from CoreJJ. We haven't heard from anyone. Obviously, Team Liquid, if they went out and signed Hansama and Bwipo, they had some expectations that CoreJJ would have his green card by the time the spring split came around. I don't think they signed those players under the assumption that they wouldn't have them available until summer split or anything like that. But man, this is becoming a whole mess. We now have, 4 teams being affected by either visa or green card issues going into the lock-in tournament. And the LCS is already not a very deep league. It's already a pretty top-heavy league. And 3 of our top 5 teams are being affected. So now, effectively, the only 2 teams coming in this tournament at full strength are 100 Thieves and Evil Geniuses. Team Liquid is still absolutely loaded. They still have a ton of talent, and Ayla and Yeon could still come in and be very, very good. But it is pretty significant hits to both Cloud9 and TSM. And I know the overall is just killing a lot of the hype and excitement for a lot of people heading into the lock-in tournament. When last year, lock-in tournament was a huge boom. It was exciting. It was fun to watch. It was awesome. We got to see all the new faces. We got to see all the new teams. Viewership was crazy. It really got the LCS off to a strong start. But if this year lock-in tournament suffers a little bit, it could be a more difficult start for the LCS, and that could, maybe lead to less viewership and less excitement as the season goes on, especially if these visa and green card issues carry on throughout the whole year, because TL is supposed to be like the LCS team, the NA team this year. And yeah, seeing them have issues is pretty frustrating and pretty disappointing for a lot of North American fans. But again, still, you got Blippo, you got Bjergsen, you got Santorin, you have one of Hansama and Core JJ. Still going to be fun, but man, trying to work a 7-8 man roster, that doesn't sound ideal. But that's pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I'd appreciate it so much. Leave a comment down below what you think about any of these stories. Are you worried, not worried? Are you hyped up, not hyped up? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, save today, and all the latest content. Hope we catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.